What up, what up? Back at it again. Another podcast. The boys are in the house. I'm your boy Gabe. I usually host this stuff. That's JoJo down here. Say what's up to the people, JoJo.
You're
our special guest.
You're already special guest. I got promoted. I got a promotion. Special guest now, not just a regular guest.
And speaking over there on the couch is Julian's dog. Say what's up to Julian's dog. I'm just kidding.
Yo, is that your?
I didn't even realize he was there.
So what's up,
Yoda?
What's going on? I'm doing good.
Listen.
Doing good. A lot of sports.
A lot of sports going
Julian,
on,
man. He's working hard on his back-to-back right now. You know what I'm saying? So, as you guys know,
I actually just finished the soccer podcast, so now going into this one. A lot of research I've been having to do, so it's been a lot lately.
Does it officially have a name now, or is it just part of Real Fans Network?
It's Real Fans FC.
Yeah, Real Fans FC.
Yeah. Just finished episode 6, so if you guys like soccer, go check it out. We talk all things Europe, our side of the coast, all that.
For the few people that like soccer, for the 5 fans out there, I'm really going to support my boy over here, right? You know what I'm saying? Our soccer analyst, and go listen to it. I'm pretty sure, he has some insight in that world, you know what I mean? So shout out to my boy.
Gabe, I know Gabe has expressed some interest coming on. Gabe, you want to come on, talk some footy?
I'll talk some footy when Messi comes, but we're not going to talk about Messi, okay? We'll save it for that podcast. Save that content for the other podcast. Let's get into it because this past week, obviously, we had a huge tournament. We're at the beginning of April, obviously, and March Madness has come to an end, sadly. And there was madness. Madness was running wild all through March. A whole ton of upsets. Everybody's bracket was broke the first 2 days of the tournament. And we ended up with the Final Four being... for the men's side, it was Miami UConn versus FAU San Diego State. And we're just going to talk about kind of overview of the Final Four and maybe talk a little bit of the finals. JoJo, I'll go to you because, you had a little stake in the game. Let's talk about that Miami UConn game.
Ooh, where do you want to start, Gabe? Because I know, listen, guys, for background, Gabe, our, Miami resident local guy here who's going for UM. I was going for UConn. I've been preaching it since basketball season started. And listen, the boys got the job done, man. Shout out to UM. You guys had a hell of a run, right? But I warned Gabe coming into this game, man. Listen, I hope you guys are ready. You guys came back against Texas. I think you were down 12, made a nice little run. You have 3 or 4 guys, that can create a shot. Individually, great gameplay, good offensive. But listen, man, y'all didn't run into the UConn boys. Y'all ain't run into the Huskies yet, and which we averaged over double-digit wins every single team in this tournament. And we did the exact same against the Miami boys. So, Gabe, I don't know how you feel about that game, but it was pretty close, I guess, in the beginning. It was back and forth. We really got on y'all on defense and on the boards, man. We're just a super physical, big team. You guys definitely lacked in size in that one, and it showed. So
yeah, that's one of the biggest things. I think coming into this tournament, I think Miami was playing with house money. The fact that they got in, they've been dominant. They've had a really good year all year. They got in. I was fine with it, and the fact that they made it to the 16 and they make it to the 8 in the Final Four. I was like, we're playing with house money. This is a freebie. Like I would have never expected in the beginning of the season like this would be a Final Four team. So with that said, the game itself, playing actual UConn. Obviously, we come in undersized. Like we were in the chat, JoJo. So they got 4 guards and 1 big man, and their big man, he's really good, but they only got one of them. And UConn was way taller, way bigger than them, and UConn played very well. I feel like Miami was putting too much pressure on themselves. Like they were forcing things a lot, and then the shots weren't falling. It might have been close, maybe the first half of the first half, but after that, it was pretty much runaway. There was like no, Miami dug themselves in a hole and they weren't able to climb out. And UConn was just a better team on that day, and that's what it comes to. Like they just outperformed.
Honestly, man, you guys ran into the best team of the tournament, and I'm not even saying that as a UConn fan because we had one of the most historic runs.
Ever. They beat.
I'm gonna throw it out there ever. We had one of the most historic runs in this tournament, and it was just bad luck for you guys. We were firing literally on all cylinders. I'm talking. We had like the best inside-out game out of all the teams. Like. Banging it down there on the boards. You got Sanogo, and we got a almost 7-footer as our backup center, Klingon, coming in to replace him. and then we got 3 or 4 snipers who can shoot a 3 on any given fast break, hot in the corners. So just when you think, let's say, your guys are going in, they miss a little mid-range, which happened. What's the guy's name? One of your best players. He kept missing his little 10-foot mid-range. Was it Wong?
Wong, yeah.
Wong, right? And he usually knocks those down. So we were grabbing those boards, running it up right up the court. Majority of the time was a fast break, which either led to a basket at the end or a 3-point shot, fast break. So every 2-point shot you made, that majority of it, resulted in a bucket for us at the end because we just had the speed, and the strength to go down to the other side of the court. But all right, and on the other side, San Diego State versus FAU, I saw that game as well. That was a game for the ages, and it literally came down to the last possession with a final shot with a buzzer beater at the end. Fantastic game. And it was a little upset, man. I wanted FAU.
Me too. I was rooting for them. Yeah.
I wanted one South Florida team. Obviously, I didn't want UM because of who they were playing. But it would have been really cool to see a small school like FAU make it to the championship.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing, Julian. I don't know if you're going to jump in with other games you saw, but that game was like a tale of two halves, right? FAU came out shooting lights out. I think they went up maybe double digits early on. Yep. And that first half, I was like, oh, man, there's no way. If they come out playing like this the second half, there's no way. But San Diego State obviously came back and came down to that last shot. And also, same thing, I feel for FAU. Like, they were playing with house money. Nobody, listen, this small school, out of all the schools in Florida, Julian, you can jump in. Like, how many people talk about FAU athletics? Like, I know I have friends that went to FAU. They played on the rugby team, people that play on the baseball team. Nobody, like, you tell me FAU basketball is going to make it to a Final Four, you know what I mean? With a chance. They're one game away from from dance. Incredible. I mean, incredible run. Like a truly Cinderella team. Even San Diego State, too. I think they played overall well this season, but I mean, the most underdog of the underdogs had to be FAU going into this tournament.
I mean, San Diego State had a lot of four-year players, 5-year players because of the exemption rule after COVID. So they had, like, a veteran-led team over there on that side. So I think that was their time to make it happen if they had any chance at all, which who knows how that team is going to look next year. But, like, back to FAU, Julian. Coming out of that conference, man, we only hear FAU when they're going against FIU. And they cook us in majority of sports anyways. But for them to come out of, I don't know, this weak conference that we have here, not a really competitive conference, to make a run like they did, that was just surprising.
No, yeah. And I think, even though I'm not a FAU fan, I do think them making it farther does help the conference as a whole. I mean, we've seen it countless times where, like, these teams go on runs that, like, are these Cinderella teams that you never expect. And then all of a sudden that program is now just a perennial team that's always in the March Madness bracket. So if FAU can follow in that footsteps, like we saw, like, I don't know, like what VCU did like 10 years ago, or like a Oral Roberts, like now that becomes like, yeah, there's always the one team, and now they're in there all the time. Now that program's like kind of forever changed as being in there. If FAU can kind of follow in that footsteps and be the same thing, I think that helps the conference as a whole, because now, you beat a FAU team who consistently is good. Now that helps lift up everybody. You rise the, I don't even remember what the quote is. You ride the water forever. I don't know. I'm bad at metaphors.
All waters is rising boats. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But
shit.
Yeah.
All right. And then, moving on to the championship game, obviously we saw San Diego State versus UConn. And Gabe, I'm gonna let you go ahead and discuss your feelings about that game first, and your experience on that before I get into it, because
I know you're gonna go.
You already know, man.
UConn, they played very well, man. Like what can I say? UConn is just excellent, right? They outshot them in both halves. UConn was a better team. UConn was the hottest team. UConn, they were the hot team, and they played very well. Like I can't speak to the entire season of UConn that I watched, but in this tournament, they shot well. They played well. They beat Miami that way, and I feel like it was a repeat, and I feel like it was almost as big as it was. I feel like maybe the Final Four was a little bit for me, more enjoyable to watch than the actual final because I was like, oh man, these guys, like, you can't miss. These guys ain't missing. But I'll shoot it to you, Jojo. I'll give you a chance to rant. You know what I mean? I'm short on time. I don't have much to say, but I'll give it back to you.
No, yeah, man. I mean, this is our 5th national title ever in school history in the last 25 years. So they want to talk about blue blood programs. We're right in there.
Yeah.
We're right in there. And we're the only team to win multiple championships being a 3 seed or lower. So we've never won a national championship as a number 1 seed or a number 2 seed, to throw that out there. And our last chip back in 2014. So it's a quick turnaround. And if you look at our history, we've won within like our second title within 5 years, aside from this last one. But, you know, with the squad that we have, you know, obviously some players are going to get drafted, maybe 2 to 3 players. But, you know, with the squad that we have that can step up, you know, next season, we can honestly go back to back. And I really feel that way because we haven't lost to a non-conference program all season long. Everyone thought I was crazy saying we're going to make a run in the tournament. But that's because I was keeping up all season. We started off 14-0, got up to the number 2 seed in the nation. You know, had a little, you know, setback. We lost like 3 out of 5, which dropped our rankings, all to Big East teams, right? We didn't win the Big East tournament, which I saw would happen because, again, you know, the only teams that we lost to were Big East teams, and we've had multiple teams in our conference that were nationally ranked. We had like 5 or 6 teams that could keep up. So we're talking Xavier, Marquette, Creighton. So I just had another feeling that one of these teams will make a deep run in the tournament as well, in which Creighton was the closest for the Big East, and they lost to, I believe it was San Diego State on a controversial last-second call. I don't know if you guys saw that foul. So, yeah, man, you know, I'm just taking it all in. It was a great season. National champs. Got my Final Four shirt.
You got that Final Four shirt.
Waste no time.
Hey, listen,
You ordered that off the Nike store.
I'm waiting for the national champion shirts to drop, and I'm looking forward to that.
You going to the parade?
And
You going to the parade? You buying tickets?
should I fly to Connecticut? Nah, I mean, it already happened. It already happened. Probably too cold up there right now, anyways. But I did have flashbacks of visiting the campus back in 2013 when I was planning on going over there. But it's dope, man. The program looks real good, and you want to talk blue bloods along with Duke, Kentucky, Kansas. We're right up there with them. 5 titles, 5 national titles. Are you kidding me? In the last 25 years, it's ridiculous.
And I feel like all the hype this year was, Alabama, Houston, obviously 2 other programs that I don't think of when I think of basketball. You know, I don't think of University of Alabama or Houston. So the fact,
most open tournament in history, I feel like this is open for anybody.
Yeah,
we saw the number 1 seeds go down, and again, that's not our fault, right?
Yeah.
Like
you can only play who's in front of you.
Yeah, like if
Purdue
number 1
went down a first
upset,
round.
What makes you think they're gonna beat us? They don't even deserve the playoffs. They play us. They clearly lost, which we would have seen Kansas if they didn't lose to Arkansas, and then we beat Arkansas by double digits. So I mean, it is what it is.
There's gonna be a lot of comparison shopping. People saying, "Oh, you didn't beat."
Especially how bad y'all beat Gonzaga. Like that was really shocking to me. Like Gonzaga, top team, and then
they're the hottest
to
team.
beat them by 20 plus.
UConn was the hottest team, bro. UConn was
got up to 30
team.
at one point in that Gonzaga game. That's just embarrassing. You know? Single-handedly retire your boy Timmy over there.
Yo, let's talk about the other side because I don't know if you guys watched the other game. Let's talk about the women's side because we had extraordinary. It was like I think one of the highest rating Final Fours or championships. Like it rated higher than like most MLB games, most soccer games,
Crazy.
It was like one of the. I'm gonna pull up the record. Let me find the actual tweet of it.
I want to say like 9 million viewers.
No, it was like the most viewed women's game in America. It was like 400-something thousand people were watching.
So
yeah, I think it outperformed 2 NFL games or something like that. Yeah, it was like 400,000 viewers in America.
Live attendance or like viewers?
No, like viewers.
Viewership.
Like Yeah, like people turned it on and watched it. It said the viewers are 400,000.
I don't know why I saw somewhere it was like 8 million.
It was like the most viewed women's game in America or something.
Yeah, I'll pull up the tweet, but let's talk about the game itself because obviously it was a tough game. I think Iowa coming in with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, everybody's been talking about her all year. She's going to be a superstar. She is a superstar already when she decides to go in the league. I don't know. I think she's like 20 something. Is she a sophomore? Or is she a junior?
I honestly never heard of her name until after the championship game happened. After the championship game happened, I was like, what's going on? And everybody, I seen the comments, everybody just like, the only reason the ratings are so high is because of Caitlin Clark, but yet they didn't show a picture of her. They were showing the picture of the LSU team.
I mean, I heard of her throughout the season. She's had like some highlight moments, on SportsCenter and everything. Yeah. So she's been pretty relevant. They compare to Curry, the way she shoots, off the dribble, catch and shoot. So just great offensively. And the energy she brings. So I've heard of her name throughout the season, and obviously throughout the tournament. When you make a run, it's a wrap. Like that's it. Like your name's gonna get known all across the world, like in both men's and women's.
And she's gonna be an instant professional. Like she's gonna, if she decides to go pro, instantly she'll be one of the top draft. Name whatever Jojo, you can name whatever top college player there was coming off of a good team, a great team. I'm thinking like Carmelo Anthony,
Brittany
Griner. Name whatever best player in college. And she's definitely
listen, I don't know, man. We had some top. This is for the women's UConn top players coming out of UConn fresh off those championships.
Oh, but y'all listen.
Well, year. I'm just saying. Games in a row or something like that.
100 games in a row. Listen, back to UConn. I know. Listen, I'm not trying to be repetitive, but that women's team is one of the most dominant ever.
Y'all the Yankees. And,
of college. They had injuries. Actually, one of the top players is injured. I actually forgot her name. Amadis slipped. Best in the country, right up there with Caitlin Clark, and she tore her ACL, I believe. She's gonna be back next season, and you're gonna see. Usually, top 5 draft picks, top 10 draft picks, they come out of UConn. So,
but yeah, they're the Yankees of women's college. They're the Alabama of NCAA football. But let's talk about the actual championship itself. We're talking about Iowa versus LSU. LSU is generally, I think, a young team. They have a lot of young players, and I don't know if you saw the actual game, Julian. If you saw the game or the highlights, any takeaways, or Jojo, you can jump in.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch any of it, so I'm not the right person to talk about it. So if Jojo, you watched any, I didn't just see it.
Well, I mean, back to the Final Four real quick. I know Iowa beat an undefeated South Carolina. I think they were 32-0. Trying to become, I forgot, like another team to go undefeated throughout the season and win the tournament. And Caitlin Clark dropped back-to-back 40-point games, which put her name on notice. But shout out to LSU, completing and finishing it. They were just a bigger team, more physical team. Obviously, one player can't do it. Caitlin Clark already, put up back-to-back 40-point games. So game plan was going to be centered around her and pretty much double-team her all game, which ended up working out in the end. So, man, shout out to LSU women's basketball. I think that's their first national championship ever.
Yeah.
So that's dope. And I think Jordan Hawkins from UConn is like cousins with one of the players on that LSU team.
No.
So they both won. I think they're from DMV area, Maryland. So that's pretty dope, to put on, for your family as well.
Yeah, the actual game itself, I thought was really good. Like as far as championship, it did raise to the level of like championship game. These are two tough teams. LSU was just shooting lights out. LSU kind of had the lead, and there were some points, where Iowa will come back.
Just creeping back a little, yeah. They had a few opportunities, yeah.
It did live up to the hype. By the way, I did find the tweet from Front Office Sports on Twitter. It was 9.9 million viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you it was around like 8 mil, 9 mil.
What? I saw something. It was 400,000. I don't know what that was.
I'm like 400,000 is pretty low. I'm like I'm like it's in the millions. I remember
9.9 million, more than any MLS game ever, more than any Stanley Cup since 1973, more than the 2023 Orange Bowl, more than the 2023 Sugar Bowl, more than 2023 Thursday Night Football, more than the 2021 NBA Finals. 9.9 million viewers, one of the most.
What did I see then? I swear I thought I saw.
I'm like 400,000. That's nowhere near. I was like, there's no way.
That's what I said.
I'm like, do you mean in attendance?
Yes.
Well, that's not. They can't do that.
No. 400,000. Well, they played in Houston. All right.
I swear I thought I saw that. Like I don't know. Maybe it was some. Maybe they're talking about something else. Maybe it was. I don't know. But I did see what Gabe listed out, that tweet where they were talking about the difference.
And the game, like I said, the game lived up to it. It was a really tough, good game. They went back and forth, and LSU obviously came out. Now I don't know if you guys want to talk about what happened afterwards. Smack talking. It was the best national story. I guess people coming out,
part of the game,
not feeling. Was her name is Angel Reese? Angel Reese doing
there you go. So that's Jordan Hawkins' cousin. There you go. Angel Reese. Yeah.
Doing the ring pointing. Oh, I love the ring pointing though. That's some Kobe shit right there. Point the ring, point to the ring finger.
Caitlin Clark was doing it. Listen, I think people were mad about how Reese did it. Yeah. Kind of like, she waited to the end, or she didn't drop 40 Caitlin. Okay, listen. Hey, she felt like she has friends in South Carolina, right? On those other teams, and Caitlin Clark was going crazy with the celebrations and waving her hand. It is what it is. And honestly, I think that's good for the game. We want to see that competitiveness. Why do you think 9 million people viewed that game? For Caitlin Clark or whoever, at the end of the day, who has the ring, right? I mean, they're both gonna have great careers. When they eventually get drafted, and I think it's gonna grow the sport. I feel like people critique too hard nowadays. I don't know. I like it.
I love
that's your moment. That's your moment to shine. NBA, the guys with the trash talk. Listen, they can be on the bench, they'll do nothing all series, bro. And then they're chatting. Yeah. Draymond Green chatting, and he's not even the best player on their team. When it's Curry and Thompson and KD doing it doesn't matter.
Yeah, to me, I love it. Listen, I love people getting a taste of humble pie. I love when shit talkers. That's why I watch Conor McGregor try to get. I watched his fights. So I want to see him get knocked out. That's why I watch.
Nah, you're the biggest Conor fan. Don't.
That's why I watch. Who's the other boxer? Who's the little guy who's undefeated? Mayweather. I watch his fights because I want to see him get knocked out. He talks too much shit. I love a little people getting their humble pie. You gotta humble yourself.
Logan Paul finally lost, so he got a little piece of humble pie.
And he's like, oh, whatever, my workout, my back, oh, my neck, oh, my I don't know, my car didn't start right when I turned it. I don't know, whatever excuses you want to make. You got to eat that shit. But I love it, man. I love the shit talking. I love the shit talking, Matt, because guess what? Shit talking goes both ways. You don't talk shit when, it's the beginning of the game, you're losing or you're down. It's all good. Wait till the end. Right?
No, you know what it is? I feel like he wasn't even upset about it, right? It's all the casual fans. They got this player on a silver plate. They want to see the storybook ending. Yeah. It didn't happen. Cool. If that's the only reason why you tuned into the game was to see Caitlin Clark, guess what? They didn't get the job done, right? It's a 5-on-5. It's a team sport. LSU won. They celebrated the way they celebrated. Don't be mad.
Yeah.
And bro, it is basketball.
How do you have your feelings hurt on something you weren't probably even watching all season?
No.
The crazy thing too, it's basketball. Anybody who's ever played pickup ball knows that you talk shit the entire fucking time. It's even literally in its nature, it's like the culture that you talk shit while you play basketball. It's just literally what it is.
Listen, man, I don't know. A lot of grown men had their feelings hurt, posted on Twitter and Instagram comments, talking all this trash to the LSU players as if they were watching all. Bro, give me a break. Listen, you tuned in to see a good game. You got it. The player you wanted to win didn't win. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And
especially you're in such an environment where it's there's a lot of emotion. And a lot of you're just gonna do whatever to express it. Who cares, bro? Unless it's absolutely disrespectful, then it's one thing. But it's you're just who cares?
And I want to everyone at the end of the game, they throw the basketball to the other side of the court. Yeah. They're stomping, they're yelling.
Yeah,
that's how people celebrate. What I mean? She just had her moment.
I think it's going to make for a good, round two. Obviously, like I said, LSU is generally a young team, and I think Caitlin Clark, she's still staying in Iowa. I don't think she's coming out to go pro yet. So, listen, NCAA, ESPN, sign up. Write the date, save the date for that one because 2.0. You know what I mean? Is just kind of like UFC. They're going to do round 2, round 3, or fight 2, fight 3. It's going to be excellent for them. So, and in general, I just want to talk about, Julian, I guess you can jump in on this. With the NIL deals now it seems like players, you can probably make more staying in college and getting NIA deals than going pro, right? Going for a pro minimum, trying to go into the draft. If you're not like a top player, I'm not talking about the bottom 50, not the top 20, top 25 players. How do you feel about like now that, because that was probably one of my biggest complaints about college is like, especially college basketball, it's like these guys don't stay around. They do, they're one and done. They get in there, they go into the draft, and then they're Shabazz Napier, never to be seen again. How do you feel about like the NIL? Like now players actually possibly making more money staying, especially if they're a big program, staying longer in NCAA and creating the kind of rivalry where like, no, I'm gonna look next year when Iowa plays LSU again. Like y'all got to sign that up because I want to see that. I want to see that matchup. How do you feel about that, Julian?
I think it's a case by case basis. I mean, I feel like something like women's college basketball. I don't know if the numbers back it up, but I always feel like women's college basketball is more shown than WNBA. Like I feel like I hear about it more, I see it more. I like you just said, this final was the most watched women's game ever. I feel like somebody like Caitlin Clark, like she might make more money staying there doing these NIA deals in college versus going to the WNBA. But like I think on the men's side, it's a little different because I feel like if you're somebody who's like getting NIL deals in college, more than likely you're good, and then you're going to go to the pros and probably make more money than you could imagine. So I think it's just more of a case by case situation. Or if like somebody, I can't think of a player at the top of my head, but like, you always have those college stars, but like, they're never really going to be like drafted super high. Like
so I can
like
give you one. I think like a Drew Timme, right? He did all 4 years. He loved his school. He's a great college ball player, but a lot of feedback from people is like they don't think his game style, like his gameplay, is going to translate on the NBA. He's not going to be a top 10 draft pick because he played 4 years at Gonzaga. Like he's just not.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good example. And he probably made a lot of NIL deals staying there at Zaga, to be honest with you.
Yeah, versus he tries his luck in the NBA and probably will never make that much money as he did. So I think it's situational. I think a lot of it depends. So to me, it makes sense that like these women college basketball players might stick it out in college because in the WNBA it's just probably not going to pay as well as
there's different rules. So for the WNBA, if you guys want to look it up real quick, I heard about it that you might have to stay all 4 years in college before you even get drafted. So I don't think they have a choice. I could be wrong though.
Okay, so they have a limit. Okay,
I think they have to stay all 4 years.
No, NBA added the limit of just 1 year.
You have to be at least, it says the league requires for domestic draft to be at least 22 years old when the draft takes place with no remaining college eligibility.
So almost 4 years there. If you go into college at 18, let's say you're going at 18 years old, 4 years later you'll be 22 to be able to get drafted. I
mean, you can always go international and go pro. That's the thing about basketball. They play around the world, especially women. On the women's side, they travel more on the off season because they don't make enough compared to what NBA players make. They travel international and make their money that way. So I think this is actually kind of cool. Like if y'all can make money, to me it just makes NCAA more interesting. Like I said, it's like these players are one and done. Like you talk about Georgia, you talk about UConn. How they had a run of players that have been in like third and fourth year seniors. Like to me that is more I got more investment in it because I watch them young. But if they're one and done, I'm talking about top players.
Yeah.
If they're one and done. I'm like, why am I going to invest? This guy's going to be gone.
You don't even know who you're going to get next season. You don't know who's going to come in the transfer portal. I mean, imagine Zion stood another year at Duke. Like everyone would be tuned to the sophomore year watching that. But obviously he was an NBA talent, top 5 pick, like top 3 pick. Mm-hmm. But
and he might have just fell before this NIL stuff. So speaking of basketball, let's switch over to the NBA side because it's the end of the season. We have about 4 or 5 games left in the season. We're entering the playoffs, and seats have been clinched. Playoff spots have been clinched. And I just want to talk in general about the NBA, how you feel overall, Jojo, about this season. My Miami Heat, they're struggling right now. Right now, I think we're number 7. We're trying to fight for a 6th spot. I don't have high hopes for my Miami Heat, but overall, what's your overview of the NBA heading to the playoffs? So let's start with Let's start on the East side, so I can talk about Miami Heat.
Yeah, I mean, well, I could say playoffs overall. Finally, it's coming, man. I've been waiting. I'll be honest, I haven't really been that tuned in this season for whatever reason. I just didn't have the excitement. But maybe it'll pick up in playoff basketball, right? That's what we've been waiting for. You know what I like to see? I like to see new teams. I like to see new teams make runs. Create a name for themselves right here in the playoffs. So I mean, we're talking in the East over here. You got your Knicks sitting pretty. It's been a little minute, couple years since they lost to the Hawks, sitting at 5. Nets, they've been through it all this season. I'm talking coaches, players, guys that don't want to play, all this controversy. They're in the playoff mix with their new squad, so shout out to them. And, even your Heat didn't have the best season. No. They're in the playoff picture, and we're not talking play-in. Like, they secured a spot.
No, right now they're fighting. Right now, it's still between the Nets and the Heat. They can swap places. The Heat are 2 games behind.
Oh, so 7 and 8 is fighting. It's like playing.
6 and 7. Yeah, 7 through 10 is playing. They have a playoff berth. So, but Nets right now can swap with the Heat if they win the
they didn't
last 3 games.
I think what's happening here is because they're tied, that it's not like I don't know why it's not doing it actually. It is weird though. It's only showing 8, 9, and 10 though. That is weird.
But yeah, so right now the Heat, I think they play either tonight or tomorrow. They play the 76ers and they play like Washington and Orlando. They're fighting. They're fighting for that number 6 spot, which I hope that Miami this year would, get into that 5 or 6 seed, because you don't want to be at the bottom. You don't want to be a 7 or 8, because you're going to face the Bucks or the Celtics as it is right now. Right. And those are teams I don't want to face in the first round, especially coming off this kind of whole home season where, after the All-Star break, you had to come out winning games and we just couldn't put wins together. So we're barely making it to the playoffs, but I'm not very excited for the Heat post-game season. But in the meantime, like I said, if you can get that 5-6, which, the Knicks secure that 5.
That's where you want to be. Yeah. 5-6 is where you want to be. You have the best shot there, because you're not going to play the Bucks. You're not going to play the Celtics. You're not going to play the 76ers, top 3 teams there. And I was literally thinking that, as you mentioned, 5 seed. I'm like, wow, Knicks are in a good spot.
Yeah. They're in the
first time with the Cavs. That's a pretty winnable series.
Yeah. So, as far as the East is coming out, I don't care about any of these bottom teams. Maybe, people talk about the Raptors, Damian Lillard. Discussion around the Raptors and Damian Lillard is like, do it in the big one. But these bottom teams, I don't care about. How do you feel about the East overall? Like top teams, who do you expect to be in that Eastern Conference final?
JoJo, everyone's been going back and forth between Bucks and Celtics, right? Honestly, I can think it go either way. 76ers have been playing very well, but again, until they prove us wrong in the playoffs, like I don't see them going anywhere. They were the 1 seed a couple years ago. We still didn't have them getting past the second round. So honestly, it's going to be between the Bucks and the Celtics, and I think that's going to be a 6 or 7 game series, and it could go either way. So
yeah, barring health and injury, I think the Bucks are a clear favorite all year. They have been for a while. They're, I think they're.
They didn't even have Middleton last season in the second round of playoffs. So I mean, you have one of your best players gone. Like you said, if everyone stays healthy, I really see the Bucks, going all the way. To be honest with you.
And let's switch over to the Western Conference if you want to click over, Julian.
Here we go.
Let's talk about the West, because the West, they made the biggest splash around trade deadline. I feel like they mix it up the most as far as transactions and movement. And obviously, as we look towards the Western Conference, JoJo, I'll let you all go off because, there's a lot of movement going on in the West. So
yeah, I was going to say, just take a look at the standings, man, and look how close and tight it is. You win the next 2 games, you could jump up 2 to 3 seeds. If the opposing team that's above you loses those 2 games, you can have a dramatic swap here, which is crazy. So, we got the Nuggets first place. They've been holding it down all season. Grizzlies been making a run. Shout out to the Kings, first playoff appearance.
Yeah, they broke the curse.
2006.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Holy shit!
Oh. Yeah, that was a draw right there, man. Shout out to the Kings. They're actually pretty good team or pretty entertaining team to watch, man. Your boy Fox out there, Suns with KD and them boys. I'm surprised the Clippers are at 5. I feel like they've been winning this year. It's weird because every time I tune in on a Clippers game, I feel like I see them lose. Aside from last night, and Paul George is injured. Kawhi with his rest time. They pick up Westbrook. I don't know what's going on here, but they're sitting at the 5th seed.
Yeah.
And you got the Warriors, in which we all know this is their time. This is prime time. Warriors in the playoffs. They actually started off terrible this season, and people didn't even think they were going to make the playoffs. Well, casuals didn't think they'll make the playoffs because they couldn't win a game on the road the entire season.
Bro, with 10 spots, they were getting in.
Yeah. Lakers there.
10 spots.
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting at 6, though. That's actually pretty impressive for how they started. And we know they got the veteran experience, but I'm like, damn, they're not even squeaking in, but with a 10 or a 9. It's wild. So look at these last few teams: Lakers 41-39, Pelicans 41-39, T-Wolves 40-40 with 3 or 4 games left. OKC can make a little run. My biggest surprise is look at that 11th seed. Look at that team there. That is the biggest surprise.
Ooh, biggest trade of the splash, biggest splash of
Mavericks currently not even in playoff contention right now, even though they did win last night. What do you guys think, man? I know they don't play any defense. They got in Kyrie. People trying to blame Kyrie. I don't think it's his fault. It's just their style of play, with both of them on the court. So,
and I think that was the biggest thing with that trade, with the Mavericks trade, was obviously, Luka Doncic, he's the main guy they go through. And when you bring Kyrie is also one of the guys who needs the ball. So it's how are they going to share the ball and be competitive with 2 guys who need the rock? So the Mavericks, honestly, I heard a conspiracy that they should be tanking. I know they said that they won last night. They should be losing because I think they have depending on the trades, they have a chance to be in that bottom, the top I guess. Lottery. The top lottery pick, or to be in that mid range. And I think they had who played yesterday, because I heard they had them on injury. One had an ankle, the other one had a back injury or something. But yeah, that's probably the biggest upset. And listen, this is the problem with the rental, right? You get a guy like Kyrie who's on the end of his contract. We knew it was going to be a 6-month rental. I guess, Mark Cuban is trying to throw anything at the wall, especially as competitive as all the other teams are, the Nuggets, the Suns, the Kings being good. He's trying to throw something at the wall to make it stick, and it ain't sticking. It ain't sticking. So, I think that's the biggest swing. But I think it's kind of like one of these things for me. I was like, I'll wait to see. Then they played good for the first time they played together. I think that first week they played excellent. They're shooting lights out and stuff, but man,
they play. I think if their defense is trash, bro.
But they knew that.
Kyrie and Luka could drop 40 any given game, in which they do. But that's not enough. Look how many points they're giving up as a team.
Yeah, and I think they knew that going into it. But go ahead, Julian.
I think it's just showing their true colors. I think Luka for these past couple of years have just been hiding what's actually going on. We've always said that they're not a good team, but Luka's been hiding it. They've been carrying him, squeaking into the playoffs, and it's showing their true colors. That this GM is ass. He's done nothing. I think he struck gold with Luka, and then they've just been riding that wave. And obviously, I could have told you the Kyrie shit was going to be bad.
They got rid of Brunson last season, and look at Brunson going off with the Knicks right now. So
it's just bad management from the top. They're not doing anything to actually provide help to make an actual solid team. If they don't make the playoffs, they got to kind of clean house over there, because whatever they're doing, and from a management perspective, has just been awful. Because how long has Luka been dominant? It's been 4 years now.
Yeah. Every year he's predicted to win an MVP. The last
he's always on pace. He's always on pace.
He hasn't even
MVP.
Been in the top 3 though the last couple of years. But
and then meanwhile, look at Jokic in Denver and the support he's getting. So it's
in that one, yeah.
So obviously, like I said, I kind of knew that was going to be like that. Offensively, I knew they're going to be shut out. But it's at some point you have to play defense, right? And then at some point they're gonna have to sit down and maybe if you do a tandem thing where one's off, one's on, maybe they can pull it out. Especially with the high amount of shooting this year in the NBA, but
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, like, who cares if you could put up points at this point? Everybody in the NBA in the top 10 of each conference can put up points. There's no defense being played, so it's like, are you just going to play this shootout game the whole time? It's like, no. Eventually, you got to like do something to shore up to make yourselves different and like move up and get more talent. You know what I mean? Because you already have the scoring potential. It's just you don't have the other side of it, and it's like, who cares how much points you could put up because you don't think these other teams can't put up points? You don't think Golden State can put up points? You don't think the Suns can put up points like Denver, Memphis? Like, of course they can.
Yeah. So let's jump overall. How do you feel, JoJo, about overall who should come out of this? Who do you think is going to make the Western Conference Final, or who do you want to make a deep run? Because now all of a sudden your Lakers are good. All of a sudden now they're getting better.
Yo, listen, man. Post trade deadline, look, we're an entirely different team. LeBron. Again, the GOAT, he's playing on a broken foot right now. I just want to throw that in there, all right? He didn't want to get surgery because he's that guy. AD, he's been making some noise. He had a couple 40-point games. I know he had like a slight injury again the other game. So they were debating on sitting him out. I'm like, no, don't sit him out, man. This is it. It's your seed. Yeah. So if the Lakers remain 7th seed, which I think is best bet, I don't want them to move up. They're right where they need to be. You know why? Because look at the 3 seed. You got a Kings team who hasn't been to the playoffs since 2006, right? So we're talking inexperience here. So being the lower seed, it's not always a bad thing, right? It's all about matchups in the playoffs. So they can definitely make a run. I can see Phoenix. They remain healthy with KD, Chris Paul, and D Book. Everyone had this hoopla about them when KD got traded. It kind of died out a little bit because KD's been injured. Yeah. But he's going to come back in time for playoffs, which he's projected to. So we can see that happen. And they were put the standings right back up.
So, oh my God. You know what just stood out to me just now?
So yeah, they're sitting at 4, which they could play the Clippers at 5 with, I think PG is still out. So they have a favorable matchup there. Go ahead, Julian, what were you saying?
Oh my! Do you see that Warriors away record? Jesus!
Oh, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible.
Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier.
30.
Yeah, they can't win a game on the road.
No, yeah, I get that, but like I didn't realize until I looked at the actual record. Jesus,
it's bad. And that's why no one thought they were going to make the playoffs because
honestly,
it was ridiculous.
Man, the Kings, like it's their away record is what propelled them to where they are now. I mean, look, they have by far the best away record in the entire conference, and like that helps a lot, man. You can win on the road. That's huge.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
Because I mean, look at the Nuggets and Grizzlies. Like they're below 500 in their away record. Like that. It's honestly kind of wild to see how many people are below 500 on their away record.
And if you're gonna fall like the Warriors are, you're gonna have to win a game on the road.
Nine games.
Whatever team you play,
9 games on the road.
Whatever team plays is gonna have home court
defending
advantage.
champs.
Yeah.
But they're sitting at 6, which is crazy, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I genuinely told you I was surprised that they're so high seeded because
I would have thought they would have been like 9 or 10.
They couldn't buy a game on the road. Yeah. Like I wasn't being dramatic.
Yeah. So, I listen. I'm not gonna doubt the Warriors. I'll doubt it when I see it.
I mean,
they have playoff experience. They're battle tested. Listen, don't be surprised if the Warriors make a run for it. So no love for the Nuggets, huh? No love for the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, even though they've been top all year.
Man, I don't like number 1 seeds, bro. I just don't. Not anymore. Not in the NBA. I feel like you could string together a good amount of games during the regular season. But when you're matched up against a team you don't want to be matched up against, like the Warriors in the playoffs, let's say 2nd, 3rd round, like I don't see them getting the job done. Like I don't know. I don't see it. Hopefully everyone stays healthy. I know they've been injury riddled in the playoffs last couple of years. This is the most healthy they've been. Hence why they're the number 1 seed. But I just don't see them making a run, man. I see the Suns, potentially the Warriors, and maybe Memphis.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I can see what JoJo's saying. It's so hard to predict 1 seeds because I think with just the trend of the NBA, where like regular seasons aren't meaning as much anymore with allowing 10 teams into the playoffs. It's like, is the first seed really even the best team anymore? Because it's like, how hard are these other teams going? And it's like, obviously they're going to wait to go full until playoffs. So it's like, it's so hard to judge nowadays because of like load management and the intensity not being as high. It's kind of hard to tell. So it's like a 1 seed doesn't necessarily mean like you're the best team anymore, because it's just they made the regular season so ass that it's like, man, who knows now?
Facts. So back in the day, early 2000s, you'll see, if you're 1 seed in the West because it's such a tough conference, you're like, that team's going all the way. Yeah. Like you would think that. Like if the Lakers on top or anyone, like you're like, oh shit.
And the Celtics were first. Like it's like,
you don't want to play the 1 seed or even, top 3 seeds. Nowadays, I'm like, we've seen so many fraudulent 1 seeds or 1 through 3 that I'm like, that's why I'm saying.
Like, let's be real. As the Kings
against the Kings, I'm confident in that. I don't care if they're the 3 seed.
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say. Let's be real. Like, is the Kings really the 3rd best team in the West? I mean, I think they took the regular season more serious.
You are what your record says you are. You are what your they've had a good season. They have a good season.
And that's what I said. I think it just depends like how well you prioritize it. I think obviously the Kings prioritize this regular season. I mean, you can tell just by their away record and like everything. Like, it's not like they were dominant at home. Like they were 23-17 at home. It's just they were able to, get out grindy results.
Listen, I feel like that's as far as the Kings, that's a little Cinderella team. I don't think they have any players that have been in the playoffs, like deep in the play, made a deep playoff run, but they've had a good year. You are what you consistently do.
This.
You are what your record says you are.
What's your power rankings for the top 3 of each conference
then? Teams to go deep.
Like your power rankings, like who cares about the standings? But like since we said like the regular season can kind of mess things up, but like what's your actual power rankings?
With everybody health, full strength, I'm gonna go Warriors, Suns, and possibly the Grizzlies. Possibly the
Warriors
Grizzlies.
at 1. All right.
Possibly the Grizzlies. Warriors, Suns, and the Grizzlies.
I thought you are what your record is, Gabe.
Listen. They are bad. I'm not denying they're bad. They're bad on the road. They're bad on the road. But guess what? Playoffs is a different. It's a whole. It's 0-0. Everybody's 0-0.
Playoffs is different.
But Gabe, I thought you just said the regular season. You are what your record is.
He didn't even throw the Kings in there.
Listen, I'm gonna do
he was literally just hyping up the Kings, saying they are
the Kings. Listen, they're my Cinderella team. They're my dark horse Cinderella team. They had a good record. But they don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of playoff teams, huh? Say it again.
What's the East for you?
The East, I'm going Bucks.
Don't throw the Heat in there.
Bucks and Celtics. I'm not throwing the Heat.
He's gonna Heat Bucks and Celtics.
I'm not even picking a 3rd team. It's Bucks and Celtics. That's it.
Bucks and Celtics. I can see that.
I think Sixers are the 3rd best team from a power rankings. Like I think Sixers are proper. I honestly think that's properly.
I think it's accurate.
What it actually is. Yeah.
The East is accurate actually for a power. Yeah. So
let's end it. Obviously we began MLB season, a whole bunch of opening days. JoJo's wearing his New York jersey. So let's talk about opening day and overall your experience. Anything so far in the MLB season that you've
There's
noticed?
a reason why I'm wearing this jersey. Got 99 on the back of me. Listen, Aaron Judge, home run king. First home run of the season was by who else? On the first pitch, Aaron Judge. I rest my case.
That's it. They're winning it all.
that's my take. That's my top take. No, man. I'm excited for this season. Like I say every year, because it's actually realistic. We have an opportunity to go all the way. With that being said, we need our team to stay healthy, especially in the playoffs. We need our pitchers, right? We need our relievers. That is the difference maker in the playoffs. It's been known the last few years, if you have the best pitchers, you're going to win, right? And we've seen it. That's what we need. So as long as we're doing the right thing, taking care of our staff, we'll be good. Garrett Cole, 2-0 already. We've had our top prospect, our youngest guy since Derek Jeter, Volpe, get called up to the big leagues, man. Congrats to him. Big shoot to fill in. We're obviously not looking for turnaround right away, but it seems promising. and that's dope to hear that story. He's a New Jersey kid, always been a Yankee fan. You know, kind of similar to like Jeter's story as well. Growing up, you know, watching the pinstripes, and you know, to see that dream become a reality. Now you're the starting, you know, shortstop for the New York Yankees, man. So I just wish him luck. I think it'd be a crucial part of his team. You know, got that young energy in the dugout, right, with some of the vets in there. And I feel like that's what every team needs.
Yeah, I felt like going to the season, like, you know, the Yankees are going to be good. They're going to be great. They spend money. They're going to compete. I feel like the Red Sox. I feel like the Red Sox may move this season. So like, I'm going to look forward to those matchups. But you know, it's a fucking long ass season, guys. It's
too. I don't even know where to start. It's a lot.
Strap it in, guys. Listen, we're like starting. It's April. We're gonna be. It's gonna be a long haul. We haven't even gotten to July. The doldrums of July. It's hot as fuck, and everybody's out there sweating their ass off. Listen,
JoJo, you gonna get a little worried about the Tampa Bay Rays off 6-0 start right now?
Nah, not really. I know what they're capable of. You know, they're obviously we have one of the toughest conferences, you know, in baseball. They American League East. So, you know, I'm gonna be watching Toronto, I'm gonna be watching the Rays. Yankees could have easily, you know, been undefeated. We won both series though. So we beat the Giants 2 out of 3, and we beat the Phillies 2 out of 3. And honestly, I don't even know who the Rays played. So, but congrats to them. And like Gabe said, it's a long season. You know, if they go if they start 20-0, you know, I might start to you know, panic a little. I'm like, oh shit, you know. But we're going for the division title, right? We want the automatic in the playoffs, right? We don't want no damn wild card spot. So, you know, looks promising. Now on the other side. You know, we could talk your West Coast Yankees. You know, Julian is a big Padres fan. All of a sudden, you know, these last couple of seasons, man, and that team is looking stacked, especially when Tatis gets back. You got Soto, you got Machado. Like I don't know, man. Like they pulled the upset against, you know, the Dodgers, who was 14 games ahead of them for that, you know, for the division. And, you know, and they ended up coming in the wild card, winning that game, and then winning the series against LA. So that's something to look out for.
I was going to say, like, the National League is tough. National League is really good this year. I mean, you have the Dodgers to worry about, Padres, the Brewers, the Braves, Mets. Yeah, it's
Phillies,
a really
you can't forget the Phillies. They had a full start, but you know they're you know, coming off you know, a World Series run, you know, even though they lost, or I could say appearance.
It's going to be tough. And honestly, the NL East, my Marlins, that's a tough division right now. I mean, with the Mets and Rays battling it out, and then you got the National League defending champs with the Phillies. Marlins are off to a semi-good start. I mean, they got pretty much swept by the Mets. But
you guys won a game out of that series, though.
No,
you got one.
No, I think they got swept.
I think they got swept.
No, I think they got all their wins against the Twins. Sandy is still as good as ever.
Shout out Sandy. Shout out to the Cy Young Award winner.
Wow.
Shout out.
Man, did you see the time? Did you see the time in the game?
It was like 2 hours. Literally like
it was an hour and 54 minutes.
Yeah.
It was wild. And that can lead us to our next topic and our final topic.
Shorter than John Wick.
The most talked about rule in baseball, the aforementioned pitch clock of 20 seconds, and then also the defensive shifts being banned. I'll point it over to JoJo. Me and JoJo during World Baseball Classic had some thoughts, and we noticed too, like during the World Baseball Classic, we noticed that the players were already on a mental pitch clock already. You can tell that they were already like started it because I would say like at least 90% of pitches were within 20 seconds, at least that I've noticed, because I was kind of paying attention to it to see like, and you can tell obviously all those players are, you know, amping up for the season of getting within that mental clock of them.
Yeah.
So JoJo, what do you think now that I guess it's been a week now since opening day?
Yeah, 2 games. Well, all right. I mean, you know, me and Julian were kind of going at it a little bit on whether, you know, the pitch clock is better for the game or worse. Obviously, we haven't even seen it in action yet, so we just had our opinions on it. And I'm not gonna lie, I was not 100% completely on board with it, right? Especially during some of the most intense baseball that we've seen in the World Baseball Classic. So I was trying to put it in perspective in terms of what was going on in the games right now and how meaningful those games were, because every game counted in the World Baseball Classic. So I felt like if you were being rushed to pitch every 20 seconds, it kind of takes away from the cat and mouse, that one-on-one action between you and the batter, and just that overall chess match where, you know, every at bat mattered. So I was there picturing at the games, like, you know, the game's tied, you're running late, you know, in the inning, and, you know, you got to be strategic with your pitches. Now you're forced to just throw whatever if you can't come to an agreement with your catcher, which could hurt the game, like especially in tense situations. But seeing it now overall, you know, and putting it in the bigger picture for 162 games,
long season,
I've seen quite more action. The game times are shorter, but for the better, right? Because you have all that junk time cut out. So I think they cut an average of they're at least 30 minutes.
30 minutes is what they said.
Yeah. So coming in, into the season, they said, because they tested out in the minors last year, the average game was about 3 hours and 5 minutes. Is now cut down to 2 hours and 35 minutes. So about 30 minutes off. So which is a lot of time. I think we're moving in the right direction. Obviously, you can have all your opinions set before it even starts, right? So I could say right now in the first week, I think it's going well. We've had, you know, a couple of pitch count violations between either the batter or the pitcher, right?
Shohei Ohtani had last night. I think Shohei Ohtani got.
You know, Machado actually got thrown out of the game because he got rung up for a strike for not being set because he kept fixing his batting glove for 30 seconds. Which I'm like, all right,
they have until 8 seconds left. I think the batter has until 8 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a weird adjustment on both players, right? It's not going to be perfect. You're going to see violations all season. But, you know, you're going to have to adjust in the game time. Now, going forward in the other rules, and I'll get your opinion on pitch clock, Julian, as well. But there are other rules that I actually do like. So they got rid of the shift, which I think is beautiful for the game of baseball, because now you're getting rewarded and we get to enjoy singles, right? So, like, you're getting rewarded for a single. It's not just, the home run ball or you hit, you know, a ball in the gap, you know, in outfield and you're seeing doubles. Like, no, there's contact hitters. You're getting awarded for contact, right? Because, you know, the switch in a sense was kind of like cheating. Like, you're projecting where the ball is going to be and they're making contact with the ball. And it's unfortunately you're filling in that hole. So you're not going to get the hit. Guess what? Now they're getting these hits, which I think is great for the game. And another rule was the pitcher can only throw over to first base, I think, 2 times.
On the third time, you have to get an out. Third time you have to get an out. Or
otherwise, they'll get the base, which I think is great because that's more incentive to steal a base, right? And they made the bases bigger, which is an even more incentive to steal a base, and it, you know, provides more safety for both, you know, whoever's playing the infield and
the runner and the catcher.
So receiver, I mean, I forgot the stats, but on opening day they broke the record for most stolen bases ever. I think it was like 20 stolen bases across the league on opening day, whereas last year I think it was like 6 or something like that. So there's a lot of action. You're getting rewarded for singles. You got people stealing bases out here. You know, between every other pitch once they get on base. I love it so far. It's been good.
Yeah, so I took the stance of, like, I was for pitch clock. I've been pretty much a big proponent of MLB needs to do drastic things. They have to. The times are changing. Their average age of viewership was 65 years old or somewhere around there, versus compared to other sports that was like 20 to 15 years older. You needed to do something to captivate the younger people. The games were too long. As somebody who's watched baseball my whole life, the games are too long. Sometimes it's just too long. It's too slow. JoJo had the strategy standpoint, but for me, look, at a certain time, you can't take as long as you want, because even in chess, like JoJo used, even they have a timer. Football has a timer. Basketball has a timer. You have to be able to think fast and do. At the end of the day, they're professional athletes. you need to be able to come up with the decision and do it. You have 100 pitches, roughly 80 to 100 pitches for a starting pitcher. Make your decision. Go in there with a game plan of what you're going to do and how you're going to approach each batter. And it would require maybe more pre-planning going into it. But like, yeah, it's made it way more enjoyable. It's going way faster because it's not even so much the fact of taking up the 3-hour block. It's just seeing more action within that.
Yeah,
3 hours.
there's more
Just like
inside the 3 hours.
it's keeping me more entertained. And honestly, trying to watch 3 hours and then trying to watch 3 hours for 160 nights is a lot to ask for out of people. Yeah. Like that's really long. And then we can see here, like, I mean, I was just said with Sandy threw a complete game.
100.
A complete game with that pitch clock. So it's definitely possible. You can still do things. And honestly, it's just going to make pitching more impressive. It's going to make it like be able to like, all right, like this perfect game that he did means even more than if he did one last year. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then the defensive shifts are awesome. Being able to see more hits and more people going, bigger bases. This is probably the biggest move baseball's made in a very, very, very long time. It is a step in the right direction. I just hope they continue to make more changes that help benefit the game, like shorter seasons. God forbid, please shorten the seasons. I want it so bad.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it is either, but I mean, I don't know. I've thought about it so many times and I'm like, it really doesn't you're not making more money. Like, I just don't believe that you're making more money having more games. Like, I just don't buy it. The ratings have to be lower.
The capacity of each game, right? Like, if your stadiums are empty for 162 games, you might as well.
Because the operating costs, you know how much it costs to run a game? All that money that you're losing running a game when you can run a game half of the amount. But anyways, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think they're doing a good job. I think things like the Apple deal, you know, I wasn't a big fan of was it Rob Manfred? Rob Manfred's the commissioner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I still think he's dated, I think the people underneath him have been doing a good job of progressing the game and capitalizing on the World Baseball Classic and stuff like that. So I gladly bring on the changes. I think it's awesome. But Gabe, we'll end it off on you. What do you?
As a former catcher, listen, these catchers are going to love it. When they're in July and it's fucking 102 degrees and the game's only 2 hours, they're going to love it because they're going to be in and out. I think it's a positive as far as the pitch clock. This rule was already in the books, but now they're just enforcing it, right? It's like, here's the speed limit, but now we're going to actually put a radar gun and measure it like out. So the fact that they're doing it it's been in the book for a long time. It's just now they're enforcing it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's great for games that are going to be like 1-0, 2-3. All these games that suck, that are small, low scoring, they're going to happen quicker. And guess what? If a game happens long, it's because there's a lot of scoring. There's a lot of actions, like you guys already mentioned. Yeah. Like there's stuff happening. So it's like, yes, we have to extend this game because there's stuff happening. People are getting hits. People are getting on base. People are stealing. So there's action. So that's that. The action kind of justifies why the game is longer. So the fact that
like Sandy the Marlins game.
Yeah. The fact that Sonny threw 100 pitches, shutout game, is up in 2 hours, less than John Wick 4. You can go watch John Wick 4. You still be watching in the theater. I love it. I love the game. Listen, it's a long season. We got a long way to go this year.
Yeah.
But and honestly, 2.5 hours is not that wild. I mean, like that's
not. I think that's straight.
Especially
like, if you have an action-packed 2.5 hours in baseball, right? Couple hits here and there, not just home run ball, right? Again, we're getting rewarded for hits and singles. People love to see stolen bases. Like I've been watching on TV, and I'm surprised players that you wouldn't expect to stay. They're running. I'm like, oh shit. Well, we're doing that now.
Ultimate cat and mouse game.
Vogelback. You see that Vogelback commercial, Jojo? I don't know if you saw it. The fat guy from Milwaukee. I don't know. He's just a fat guy. I love to see fat guys run. It's like seeing a defensive lineman score a touchdown or something. Anyways,
he's running all over a real Muto in the Phillies. I'm like, this guy's a cannon. Also, like we're doing this. All right.
Think about the hours that you're saving on that catcher's knees over the course of his career.
Yeah, that's why.
Bro, you think? I mean, you're talking about thousands of hours saved from you bending over. Like that could make or break your like post-retirement career, man. That's now I think about it. But
listen,
all they need to do now is let pitchers use tack and shorten the season.
Oh, there we go. Make the field bigger. I feel like.
I know it's way too
No, make
early
it shorter.
to discuss, but I wonder how this is gonna play out in the playoffs. Again, when, during crunch time. I mean, they should all be set in their ways by then. They should be good. There should be no excuses. But I feel like this is when it's really gonna count. You're gonna get a World Baseball Classic feel in these playoff games because it's gonna be such a fast-paced game with a lot of action and everything counts. Every pitch counts. Every stolen base counts. So I'm definitely excited. To get there in that point. We have a long way to go, like Gabe said, but let's enjoy what we're seeing right now.
And we shall every week right here, Real Fans Podcast on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. Julian's doing the soccer show. Julian, shout out the soccer show one more time.
Real Fans FC, check us out. Like I said, we cover Europe and in America. Check us out. Get some pretty insightful and debates and talking shit. So yeah.
Word. I'm catching up on some reels. I'm gonna post more content. World Baseball Classic. Yeah, man, we got a lot going on.
Gabe, get on that Instagram. Get your Twitter finger. Not Instagram. Get on your Twitter fingers.
Twitter finger game.
All right,
Gabe's
man.
gonna get us a guest next week. Gabe, go get us a guest. That's your task.
Okay, I'll see what I can do, but we'll be right back here next week. Real Fans Podcast. We appreciate all the downloads and subscriptions, all the viewers. Thank you all for checking us out. We'll be here next week. Peace.
Peace out.